one specific part in the book that really made me give the side eye like, what? I had the opportunity to receive this book. It's called Soar, and it's an autobiography. Wait a minute, let me make sure I'm saying this right. Is it biography or autobiography? You know, when you write it yourself. I'm here to talk about a book that I read that was written by a woman who lived with sickle cell disease. Her name was Gail Campbell Woolley. This book was very, very interesting for several reasons. Gail Campbell Woolley, she actually was a journalist by trade. So I'm going to talk about some of the things I liked about the book and some of the things that I would give criticisms about the book. One of the things that I really liked about the book is that it was very well written. You could tell that she was a writer, that she was a journalist. It really did a very good job of being very detailed about what life is like living with sickle cell when you are trying to live, like go to school, work a full-time job. She really talks about a lot of the dilemmas that she faced in her life. I actually had the opportunity to go to an event where her husband that she had been married to for over 30 years, he actually, I went to an event where he was speaking, and he was talking about his wife and her life and their life together. You know, the type of person she was, and you know, how the way that she touched people in her life. And so when I went to that event is when I learned about this book that she wrote, which is like a legacy that she left, and it was one of the things that she wanted to do before she left this earth. Hearing him talk about his wife intrigued me to want to read the book. Before I read the book, actually, my mom, she was at the event with me, and so she was interested in reading the book as well because he did such a good job of just her husband. His name is Howard Woolley. When I did hear her husband speak, he spoke very eloquently about his wife. You could tell that they had a very strong relationship, and she talks a lot about how her husband really was just really her rock. He went through so many different lengths to do everything he could for her.
When we had Gail's celebration of life in DC, the last thing I said was that when she was really, after the ankle amputation and she was on the oxygen, and her self-esteem, which Gail had a lot of, was low and everything. I always wanted her to feel that that I looked at her the same way I did when I first met her, and not and the current external changes didn't mean a thing.
He's now an advocate for sickle cell disease. The book was pretty entertaining. It kept me wanting to read more. So it made me, I looked forward to going back and reading the book, and I would be thinking, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. How did she deal with that situation? How did that situation happen? Because she was the type of person who she wanted to defy what doctors told her. If somebody told her that she couldn't do something, wanted to prove them wrong. So a lot of the things she did in her life, she attested it to her will, her strength, just her perseverance. The book was well written, it was entertaining, and it was very detailed. It gave very detailed accounts of situations in her life, and a lot of different situations that someone with sickle cell could relate to. but it also did a good job of explaining to someone who does not have sickle cell the things that we go through on a day-to-day basis or just in different types of situations. But what I also liked about the book is it was almost like, some of it was almost like a history lesson, because she grew up in the 60s and she talked about what was going on during that time. She talked a little bit about civil rights and different civil rights leaders. It was like kind of like a timeline. I like the fact that it was like a timeline through her life from as a child all the way up. I completely could relate to a lot of the things she'd been through. She went through a lot, and I don't want to get too much in detail because I don't want to spoil the book for anybody, but she did go through a whole lot, and so a lot of it was very relatable to somebody with sickle cell. Her story, I think, would give somebody who has sickle cell, would maybe give them hope.
Gail would say to others with sickle cell about living their best life.
Yeah, as I said, sickle cell impacts each person, differently, and people have to, find, this is an old school term, they have to find their own groove, how to make life work for them. But Gail would definitely say that each day is precious, each hour, each minute, and to fill that time with as much life as you can, because life is not, it's not a given. And
so some of the things about the book that I would say kind of made me raise a couple eyebrows. This may not necessarily be about the book in particular, but more so just about how things were conveyed and maybe just her story. So sometimes in the book, I was flowing along with her story, and sometimes I felt like some things kind of got chopped up. Some events in her life, it left me with questions, and I can understand, you're writing a whole entire book about your life. You can't put everything in the book. Yeah, sometimes, I was reading certain parts and I'm like, man, well, what happened? What happened with that? And so she left you with a couple of cliffhangers. Sometimes there was cliffhangers in there. Another thing I would say, this is not necessarily a criticism about the book or how it was written, but I'm just going to say it. Sometimes I felt as if the author was a little arrogant. She was very confident in herself, but I felt like it came off a little bit arrogant, and I wonder if somebody else who has sickle cell, who was not able to accomplish as much as she was able to accomplish, would it make them feel bad about themselves? Yes, people with sickle cell, we come from all different types of family backgrounds, all different types of economic backgrounds. There was this one specific part in the book that really made me give the side eye, like, what? She said that she went to a support group meeting, and she went one time and she never went back because she felt as though she could not relate to anyone who was there, because she was well educated. She had traveled around the world. She spoke 2 languages, and she just felt like she couldn't relate. And then also she felt like it was so much negativity when she was there. The other people who had sickle cell, they were complaining and they were just very negative, had a negative outlook on their life and on the things that they had been through. So that part of the book really kind of bothered me. But these are just my feelings, they're just my opinions. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with how she felt or there's anything wrong with how she handled things. That's just my take on it. This is my review of the book. So I would encourage you to purchase the book, read it for yourself. Let me know what you guys think.